So in this clip, I am explaining which ingredients you're going to need for the recipe. 3 cups of wild mushrooms. I use shiitake and oyster mushrooms just because those are my favorite mushrooms and it's what I can get locally at my farmer's market. 3 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese, the fresher the better of course. 2 pizza doughs. You can use store-bought dough or make your own, but I'll always encourage you to make your own because it tastes that much better and it's really not that hard to make pizza dough. 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped sage, the fresher the better, and 1 onion. So here we're going to take the 3 cups of the wild mushrooms and just give them a rough chop. We're going to cook these before we put them on the pizza, so they don't have to be too small, but a rough chop will be perfect. Remember, going to your local farmer's market and getting these ingredients is really the best thing you could do. So now I'm going to show you the best way to dice an onion.
First, you're going to want to cut the onion in half. Then you're going to want to slice off an end, but not just any end. You're going to want to keep the root end on. This will make so that peeling the onion is wicked easy, but most importantly, it'll keep the onion intact, and that's really the most important part of this entire trick.
Then you want to take the onion and slice it, but not all the way through. Leave a little still attached to the root so that the slices are still stuck together. See, here you can see how the slices still all stay intact. Then you want to rotate the onion and turn that slice into a dice. You can easily control the size of your dice by making larger or smaller cuts. Don't waste the little end on the root. You could still cut that and use it.
Take that onion and add it right to your bowl of mushrooms. We're going to cook it together.
Next, we're going to chiffonade our sage. Chiffonade is just a French word basically meaning finely shredded and is usually used for cutting herbs. What you do to start is stack about 10 like-sized leaves on top of each other. Then you want to roll the leaves tightly. The tighter, the better. Grab your knife and make fine cuts so that the sage is shredded. This cut can be used on lots of herbs and will really speed up your time in the kitchen. Instead of chopping mindlessly for 5 minutes, realistically you could do it in 30 seconds.
Next, what we're going to do is set a pan over medium-high heat and let the pan get hot. If you add the oil before your pan gets hot, it can really mess with your oil. The oil will heat up faster than the metal will, and so causing your oil to burn. So always add oil to a hot pan. Here we're using 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Next, we're going to evenly distribute our oil amongst the pan and let it heat up. The reason for letting your oil heat up before adding your veggies is to prevent sticking and to prevent the veggies from absorbing too much oil. Sitting in cold oil instead of cooking in hot oil isn't ideal. Now that we've added our veggies, we're just going to let it cook for about 5 minutes, mixing it occasionally, but giving it time to cook. Now that our veggies have been cooking for 5 minutes, it was time to add our sage. Once that sage hits the pan, you're going to get an aroma, and it's going to just remind you of Thanksgiving. Everything about it, it's just the perfect smell for fall. And we're going to let that sage continue cooking for 2 more minutes before we shut it off. We're going to grab a pan and cooking spray and get ready for this. Da-na-na. Y'all ready for this? Spray the pan down well.
So now that our mushroom, onion, and sage topping has finished cooking, we're going to stretch out our dough and get ready to build this pizza. We start by taking our mozzarella cheese and sprinkling it directly on the dough. There's no need for sauce on this pizza, it's delicious enough alone. We use about 1/2 of a cup here. Remember, the ingredients listed make 4 pizzas, individual sized. So now what we're going to do is spread our cheese evenly to make sure you get some in every bite. Add some salt and a little bit of pepper. It's always good to season while you cook. Now it's time to add the best part of the pizza. Put the mushrooms right on top and spread it evenly across the dough. You want to make sure that every bite has some of this sagey goodness. Lastly, we're going to finish it off with 1/4 of a cup of mozzarella. The reason for layering the cheese is so that the bottom layer will get melty and gooey, while the top layer gets a nice crunch. It adds different textures to the pizza, which really is just awesome. Now you want to take that pizza and throw it in the middle rack of your oven. Just let it cook for about 10 minutes at 400 degrees, just until the crust becomes golden brown.
How is it, Jose? Come on. Final result. How is it, Jose?
Pretty f***ing good.
That's good. That's what I like to hear.
I shouldn't swear though.